This presentation compares two frameworks for measuring national wealth: FAND, the First Agentic Navigator for Development, and CWON, the World Bank's Changing Wealth of Nations. They agree that understanding wealth requires decomposing value into price and quantity, but they make fundamentally different choices about how to handle prices, and those choices cascade through every component of the balance sheet. CWON implies nations are near the same production possibility frontier, bound by a law of one price, and complex index numbers let value be decomposed into quantity and price indicators at all levels of detail. In FAND, only nominal values travel hierarchically. This presentation shows the analytic difference, with data from 10 countries spanning the development spectrum. While FAND aims to be useful more broadly, like MEP, it treats the World Bank as first among equal users. Both frameworks agree that meaningful comparisons across time and place require decomposing value into price and quantity. V equals Q times P. The disagreement is about what to do next. CWON follows the mainstream view of money as a veil one strips away with deflators to see what is real. Each wealth component gets its own price index. Produced assets, human capital, natural capital, and such get chain-linked composites of their components down to some level where differences are no longer recognized and valued. FAND takes a different position. Behind index number problems, it sees the conceptually intractable. The Leibniz-Newton debate on quantifying spirits, Simpson's paradox, Zeno's paradoxes. So, FAND uses a single universal deflator, the ratio of Atlas GNI in current dollars to Atlas GNI in constant 2020 dollars. All components are deflated by the same factor. This treats relative prices across components as real by at least requiring local knowledge to parse. The consequence is that CWON's deflators embed implicit claims about relative prices, while FAND is ambivalent. The next 3 slides show what those implicit claims look like in the data. When you use different deflators for different components, you are implicitly claiming something about relative prices. The ratio of produced assets deflator to human capital deflator tells you how CWON thinks the price of physical capital has moved relative to human capital. This chart shows that ratio for all 10 comparison countries. FAND's ratio is 1.0 by construction, the flat blue line, because it uses the same deflator for everything. Again, relative price changes are real to FAND. CWON's ratio, the red shaded area, ranges from 0.15 times to 7.5 times across countries and years. The key insight: in a well-behaved price system, this ratio would be relatively stable, evolving slowly. The wild swings mean CWON's constant dollar treatment is embedding large, time-varying relative price claims into what it presents as real wealth comparisons. FAND's single deflator makes no such claims. It admits that relative price movements are real economic phenomena, not measurement noise to be deflated away. The pattern is universal across all countries examined. The only variation is in magnitude. CWON's human capital implicit deflator is non-monotonic. For Japan, the deflator reverses direction 14 times in 25 observations between 1995 and 2020. This means CWON's real human capital for Japan goes up in some years and down in others for reasons that have nothing to do with actual changes in education or health. They are artifacts of the deflator's behavior. Look at the 10-country panels. The solid blue line is FAND's single USGDP deflator, smooth monotonic, as a global price index should be. The dashed red line is CWON's implied HC deflator, backed out from the ratio of their nominal to constant dollar HC series. A non-monotonic deflator means that CWON's real HC time series does not reliably indicate whether human capital is growing or shrinking. The signal is contaminated by deflator noise. The gold to oil price ratio, barrels of crude per ounce of gold, varies between 8 and 51 over 1950 to 2025 in market data. That is a 5.2 times swing, reflecting real geopolitical and market dynamics. OPEC embargoes, the gold standard collapse, financialization of commodities. FAND preserves the market signal, CWON destroys it. CWON's constant dollar treatment compresses this to a 3.4-point range in the 1995 to 2020 period, an 89% signal compression. The bottom panel shows the compression factor, market divided by CWON. Values below 1.0 mean CWON overstates relative gold value versus market. With the price treatment context established, we now compare FAND and CWON component by component across 10 countries spanning the development spectrum. For each component, produced assets, natural capital, human resources, and comprehensive wealth, we show the per capita time series on a log scale comparing FAND and CWON estimates side by side. FAND's produced assets use OECD Source A, Table 9b, the National Accounts Net Capital Stock, for 38 OECD countries extended via perpetual inventory method to 211 countries. CWON relies more on Penn World Tables, but evidently without the smoothing techniques in PWT. Trends in the two series agree reasonably well over the years covered by CWON. However, CWON is above FAND for all advanced economies and below for all developing economies. We will see the same for human resources 2 slides from now. This looks much like the Gerschenkron effect when purchasing power parities are involved. Since almost the reverse holds for natural capital, in the next slide it looks like CWON current price estimates take a detour into purchasing power parities for PA and HR, but not NC. So longer trend differences between PWT and FAND are likely to transfer to CWON if it were backdated and updated. Like CWON, FAND builds natural capital from 6 independently valued branches: fossil fuels, minerals, fisheries, agricultural land, forest timber, and forest cover. Differences are minor for the period covered by CWON. However, they would show dramatically different histories if CWON were backdated. For depletable resources, FAND considers CWON's rent capitalization a last resort at national level, as useful as it is where actual severance happens. As a rule of thumb, harking back to tithes, a place should not even consider severing depletable wealth unless the local return exceeds some share of the world market price, set at 10% in the prototype. Rising scarcity is evident in FAND, veiled in CWON. So, CWON imagines nation-level rents bundling locally significant resources have meaning, then bowdlerizes commodity prices, which, as Finding 3 showed with the gold-oil ratio, destroys the relative price signals in commodity prices. This is where the two frameworks diverge most sharply, in conception and in results. CWON estimates human capital bottom-up as a standalone component, the present value of future lifetime earnings, using Jorgensen-Fraumini methodology. FAND estimates human resources top-down, the share of residual wealth that can be attributed to investing in individuals, measurably their health and education. This is not to deny social constructs like job markets affect lifetime earnings, just that they are not embedded in that factor of production any more than all wheat should be valued by its role in bread. So FAND's CW equals PA plus NC plus HR plus SI, where SI is the unexplained residual. SI then includes institutional, legal, and similar social constructs that affect local pricing of specific components of one other form of wealth or how they interact. It presumes collaboration, not just competition, in an economy. Without getting too deep at data sources and methods, FAND's HR is an easily replicable OLS regression of log residual wealth, while CWON's methodology is far more elegant but also costly to replicate. And arguably more important, FAND suggests developing nations have made real progress in HR per capita. CWON doubts this. From a stable regression specification, produces smooth, interpretable trends. As expected, given its extra form of wealth, FAND's commonwealth is always above CWON's comprehensive wealth in terms of total per capita. This may be an artifact of the period covered by CWON, ignoring some of the most profound changes in the international financial system. 4 takeaways from this analysis. First, bank use of per capita income for operational purposes is defensible if CWON is. Second, prices matter more than most mainstream databases admit. This is not a minor methodological footnote. It determines whether your real wealth time series goes up or down in any given year. Third, FAND's residual is the signal. CWON normalizes human capital to close its identity, which means HC absorbs all measurement error and model uncertainty. FAND's architecture preserves SI, social infrastructure, or substantive beyond claim rights, as a measurable residual. SI is what human collaboration contribute to wealth. It is the most policy relevant metric in the framework because it captures what governance can change in the medium term. A framework that eliminates the residual eliminates the most actionable information. Fourth, market prices are decision inputs. CWON presents a misleadingly stable picture of how wealth has grown or not, and only for a slice of the bank's history that may not be the most relevant today. All data underlying this analysis are available in companion workbooks. Thank you.